So John, we had 5 minutes each, so given your lead, I'm going to take my time. So, it's great to be with you all today. Some of what I'm going to say will hopefully resonate with what you've also said, Sir John, but also I hope think a little bit more about what this all means for the next general election in likely 2024. And I thought I would just lead with 5 reflections because we were given 5 minutes, but I will take longer probably also. Firstly, as you just heard, Brexit really is no longer a top-of-mind priority. This is our issues index, which is a very long-running, unprompted question to the British public, and they tell us what they think the biggest issues are facing Britain today. And as you can see, Brexit is number 10 on this list. Now you have inflation, the economy, and the NHS written large at the top. In fact, now we have only 7% of Britons who say that Brexit, they believe, is the biggest issue facing the country, and it has pretty much been that way for almost a year. But I want to take you back to think about when this was a big issue, just to remind you of how far it has actually fallen. Back in the heady days of the Theresa May premiership, the last few months, we were routinely seeing 7 in 10 in the British public saying this was the biggest issue that was facing our society. But between then and today, you can see the steam has gone out of it. There were a few peaks at moments when deadlines were extended and when we legally left Europe. But actually, now we are sitting at that 7%. Which is why when I read the exam question, I also thought, well, maybe I'll tweak that a little bit. It's less about Brexit as an entity in itself, but more about how people really feel the process is going that we need to investigate more thoroughly today. And the short answer, and you will see this from lots and lots of pollsters, not just IPSOS, is that the view is predominantly negative. In the polling that we do, where we ask people how they think Brexit is going, since October last year, we have seen that more than half, a sort of narrow majority in the country, are now saying that they think Brexit was a bad decision. Why is this? Are we actually seeing people switching from die-hard leavers to dyed-in-the-wool remainers? Well, no, the divide is actually far more nuanced, as you also heard in the previous presentation. What you see on the screen are the 7 tribes of Brexit, which we unpicked back in 2021, and I actually presented at another one of Paula and Anand's events. And what you can see here is one end of the spectrum, you have our liberal remainers who are economically left-wing, culturally liberal, right through to the traditionalist leavers at the top middle box there. But actually, what's likely to be happening is not that those individual groups are moving substantively, but the politically disengaged, the young middle British, and also the entrepreneurial young are more shifting closer to seeing Brexit as a bad idea. And instead of not really noticing, they are now noticing some of the impacts that they can see, and they can really sense that they're feeling that it is a bad idea. My next reflection really is a little bit on the extent to which there are opportunities to deliver Brexit better and to be perceived as delivering Brexit better. And at the minute what we do see is that public views on Brexit, they seem to be also guided by their views of overall government competence and overall government delivery. But they do have views on what they think the priorities should be moving forward. The top 3 here are 3 I would just like to flag. They have clear priorities. Improving trade, 4 in 10 of both Leave and Remain groups are saying that this is the top issue for them. Reducing illegal immigration is the second here, but top priority for those who voted Leave and far smaller issue for Remainers. And then fighting crime and terrorism, which is a key priority across the board. So my third reflection is actually on whether people believe the current government of the day can deliver competently, which is a key reflection not just on Brexit but more broadly as they go into the home straight for the next 12 months in the run-up to an election. And actually, you'll know this from any polling data you look at, but the Conservative brand is incredibly damaged at this point in time. The proportion of voters who think that the Conservative government understand the problems Britons face, the proportion who think they're fit to govern or indeed have a good team of leaders has dropped substantively since the point of the 2019 election. Only a fifth of the public now say that they would use the word competent to describe the government at the minute. But this perception, it is across a wider range of metrics. 2/3 of voters say that the next election is a time where they want to see change, and almost half say that they would be worse off if the Conservatives won the next election, compared to only 1/3 who would say that for Labour. So you can see there's a real brand damage issue, and it is linked to competence, fitness to govern, and delivery. And the fourth reflection reflects a little bit on Labour, because they have made big strides towards being perceived as being electable. 44% saying Labour is ready to form the next government, which is up substantively since September 2021. And it's a similar sort of number to that which we saw for David Cameron in April 2010. But there are signs that they haven't quite convinced the public yet, and some of the more recent polling is starting to show the voting intention leads narrow for Labour. And we can also see, we know people vote on policies, the parties, and also on the leaders. And when it comes to the leadership, Keir Starmer is tied with Rishi Sunak on leader image. Similar numbers think that he would make a capable PM. Similar numbers are satisfied with his job. So this isn't necessarily an area where Labour are taking a lead, and it is a potential area of strength for the Conservatives. And I think Seb might touch a little bit about the strong appeal of Sunak in the 20-somethings, perhaps in his reflections. And my last reflection, which is on delivery. Both leaders have emphasised their ability to get things done, which makes delivery a really key focus for the next election. But Sunak, he has his work cut out. This is our recent polling looking at how the public perceive the Conservative government, led by Rishi Sunak, is doing in terms of a good job or bad job delivering the pledges. It's not a glowing scorecard by any stretch of the imagination. But what we can see, and what we do know, is that he is focusing on the right things. The economy really matters. And in fact, when we've looked in more recent data ourselves at Conservative switchers, there's little to categorise them in demography together. But what we can see is that their negative views of government performance and the economy is something that really does unite them. So a narrow path to Sunak victory could be his ability to navigate and shift some of the perceptions overall on their overall levels of competency, rather than just focusing on targeting specific demographics, because that won't be enough. So 3 quick summaries. Delivery, I think, will be the watchword for an election in 2024. Brexit is not an exception to this, and actually the public, they're not positive at the minute, and there is an opportunity to do better. The public know what they want to see from Brexit. And then thirdly, divides still do exist, but the challenges go much beyond Brexit, and I think you heard that from both myself and John. Thank you.